This is an attempt. I'm making an attempt today. Okay, so on the 22nd of November, 2023, two dumbasses decided to make the best worst decision of their life, all right? They had just tucked in their friend to bed after their pseudo schoolies, and one of them had found a particular movie on a totally legal streaming service. It was 12 a.m., they were in a tent, it was raining around them, they were probably gonna wake up with hypothermia and damp clothes, but they were like, you know what? We're not going inside. We are going to stay in this tent, and we are going to watch Disney's newest animated movie, Wish. Leading up to this moment, so many people online were talking about how much this movie was going to suck. The animation kind of looked like Sophie the First, which is a good show, but is not good for a theatrical release. The music, oh goodness gracious grief, the music, people hated the music. People hated the new villain song. People hated the I Want song. This movie was just destined to fail because nobody had any faith that this movie would be Disney's comeback, Disney's we are so back moment. And to those two girls in that soaking tent, it was the best movie they had ever seen. It was the best movie. Maybe it was the 1 a.m. series. Maybe it was the delirium of 2 sleepless nights. Maybe it was the fact that we watched Alvin the Chipmunk's Road Trip the day before. But this movie, we screamed at it. Those two girls screamed at this movie. How they took out their phones and they went, guys, it's actually not that bad. It's actually pretty good. But whatever people were saying, maybe because we just wanted to go against the crowd, go against the herd and be the black sheep of the family, they found that it was good. The music wasn't that bad. The animation wasn't that bad. The villainy wasn't that bad. We wanted the villain, King Magnifico, to be, for lack of a better word, a cunt. And he was. At the end of This Is the Thanks I Get, he's so evil. He's going insane. And we loved that. We made fun of the Alan Tudyk line, I am talking, who knew my voice would be so low, as I lost my voice. We didn't mind the movie. And then 6 a.m. came around and we had found out that we accidentally pulled an all-nighter, and I went to sleep. I went home. We re-watched the movie a few days later with our other friend, and our opinions had changed. Our opinions now were more like what everyone else thought of the movie. It was bad, the music's not really good, the animation, and we knew that we were only saying that Wish was good because we had the delirium of 1 a.m. distilled into us. But why? Why did Wish suck so bad? It's Disney's centennial anniversary film. They had 100 years. It's the big 100. It's the big triple-digit number of this company being alive. The biggest animation company to ever exist. And I don't even need to tell you how big Disney is because it's Disney. So what went wrong with Wish? And a lot of people have their own theories on why Wish sucked. We don't need to go on the music. We all know that the music sucks. There's the pop writing, there's the grammatical errors, the animation is subpar, storytelling was vague. Just so many things went wrong with Disney's centennial anniversary film. But to me, the one thing that stands out the most as what went wrong with Wish, the problem with Wish, is that Disney shouldn't have made it. And I'm gonna bring up the Lorax. I'm gonna bring up the Lorax to prove my point. Do you guys remember the Lorax? The story where a faceless man with green gloves succumbs to corporate greed and destroys the beautiful world around him? After a book and an animated 20-minute film, Illumination Studios, the Minion one, decided to make their own feature-length film with Zac Efron, Danny DeVito, and even Taylor Swift. But the original story was only 20 minutes, so how in the world were they going to make their film 1 hour longer? Well, the solution is to just add on to the original story, make it yours, if you will. Maybe the Onceler tells Ted his story across the span of 3 or so days, and in between we see Ted's hometown. We could even call it Thneedville to foreshadow the greatest invention of all time. And you know what? While we're here, and while we have a whole environmentalist message going on, let's make the town plastic. Let's make the trees use 96 batteries to really sell that this place is man-made, right? Let's give Ted a love interest voiced by Taylor Swift who wants to see a real-life truffle tree. Let's give Ted a motivation. In fact, let's give the Onceler a motivation too. Let's give him a face, a relatable down-on-his-luck backstory, mommy issues. Let's give this pair of green gloves and a malicious hand a body. Let's give him a brain and a heart. Can you tell that this part is scripted? And the first part wasn't. And then Disney's Wish was meant to be a love letter to every single thing Walt Disney and Onward has done. No, not that Onward, my bad. Disney's Wish was meant to be everything Disney was. But unfortunately, it just represents everything Disney is. And not in a good way. If Asha's friends are supposed to be the 7 dwarves, and Asha's Saba is supposed to be either Walt or Disney, seeing as they're both turning 100 and want to inspire people via the arts, then who are Asha and Magnifico supposed to be? Seeing all the trailers for Wish, I thought it was weird that Disney was choosing to make this movie in their current state. It reminded me of the Sin Squad's video of the cut song that should have saved the Onceler. A very good video that I watched and I think about constantly. Whenever I think about the Lorax, and now when I think of Disney, I think about this video. Definitely give it a watch. Anyways, this video reminded me of Disney's Wish because Disney was making a movie where the villain has a position of power who pretends to care about his kingdom and takes their wishes, but ultimately doesn't follow through to make them come true. And the hero is a young girl fighting against that, wishing for something better than this. But why would Disney do that? Because to me, the way they were framing Magnifico really reminded me of how I currently see Disney. They pretend to care about their audiences and their products, but ultimately, they don't. Instead of the promised fantastical lands and stories that we know they can do, they've just been leaving us with mediocre, bad stories that have work and merit, sure, but ultimately no heart, not truly. It reminded me of the Sin Squad's video on Illumination's The Lorax. In that video, they explained that it's strange that Illumination, a very corporate, money-hungry studio, made a movie adaptation about corporate greed. One of their villains, Mr. O'Hare, is a corporately greedy, money-hungry little man. But why? Why do they do this? But as stated in the Sin Squad video, Illumination doesn't see themselves as O'Hare. They see themselves, and they want the audience to see themselves as the Onceler. It's why they got rid of biggering and replaced it with how bad can I be. It's why they made him relatable. It's why they made him palatable. It's why they made him a person. But this isn't a video on the Onceler. This is a video about Wish. Because I think that Disney has done the same thing with their villainous king, King Magnifico. Who definitely does not look like an English teacher. I'm so sorry. I have to put my little inside jokes in somewhere. Disney marketed King Magnifico as a grand return to the true Disney villain. For years it had been twist villains like Khans and Callahan, or the true villain was actually generational trauma like Encanto. But Wish would be different. We would get a true villain with a villain song, but then the villain song was a pop song. A song that Disney really wanted to get into your head. The doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doos were programmed to lurk in the back of your mind while you work on your silly little tasks. This is the thanks I get is so bland, at least compared to literally every other Disney villain song. In Poor Unfortunate Souls, Ursula sings about how she grants the merfolk's wishes with a price. Sure, the lyrics at the beginning tell us that, oh, I've changed, I've mended all my ways, but listening more, Ursula's villainous nature shows when she's talking about how the people who couldn't pay the price were raked across the coals. Her villainous nature comes out when she's talking about how men upstairs don't like a woman speaking, which, side tangent, shows that she is a villain, so the live action decision to remove this is strange. Ursula is power-hungry and promises to grant the kingdom's wishes, like Magnifico. In Gaston, it is LeFou singing to hype Gaston up because Belle has rejected him. He is the epitome of masculinity, talking about wrestling and biting. In Me, from the Broadway musical, Gaston is singing to Belle about how he wants her to be his wife. He is egocentric, like Magnifico. In Mother Knows Best, Mother Gothel sings that Rapunzel is ditzy and a bit, well, vague, and so she should not leave her tower, manipulating her. Mother Gothel is vain, like Magnifico. In This Is the Thanks I Get, there's no villainy, not even subtle manipulative villainy like the other three villains. In This Is the Thanks I Get, Magnifico sings about how he lets you live here for free and doesn't even charge you rent. I know that I was saying before that he is villainous in This Is the Thanks I Get at the end with the glowing green hands and stuff, but what I should have said is that he's villainous on screen, but he's not so villainous in the actual song. I watched Calaxin Cares Too Much's video on Spellbound, and they said something about how you put on a movie once in a while, but you listen to music more often, right? I know that I haven't sat down to watch Tangled in so long, but I listen to the Tangled soundtrack very often. But while King Magnifico, I can sit down and watch the movie Wish and be like, oh yeah, he's evil. If I listen to the soundtrack, it still sounds poppy and not really evil. But that's the thing. Disney doesn't want to commit to Magnifico being the villain because Magnifico is the Disney Corporation. And in turn, Asha is us, standing up to Disney, sick and tired of how they've been shaping the industry we love so much. We want something more for the animation industry than this. Turns out, Magnifico is not a true return to villainy. He's kind of a twist villain, in a way. Everyone was so excited that Magnifico was a true villain. He wouldn't be a twist villain like Hans or Callahan or generational trauma, but he's not. In the beginning, he comes off more as benevolent ruler. Everyone loves him, and everyone has to love him for a reason, right? It's only until about the end of This Is the Thanks I Get, which I think is over halfway in the movie. I haven't seen it since it came out on Disney Plus with my mother, and I refuse to watch it again, so that we really see him being evil. And obviously there's little subtle moments throughout the movie where he's like a little bit evil, but there's this Instagram account that I follow called Magnifico Lover. Their whole thing is proving that Magnifico is not really a villain and that he is actually a victim and he's just a traumatized orphan boy who deserved better. And while they can definitely have that opinion, and I'm not here to bash their opinion, but if people can make an Instagram account claiming that he's actually the victim, you've done a bad job. Okay? No one is going to make an account for Gaston claiming that he's a victim because he's evil and most importantly he's misogynistic. Same with Ursula. No one's going to make an account for Ursula claiming that she's a victim. She's clearly also a villain. We might make a Vanessa Simp account, but we're not going to make a Ursula was actually the victim and Ariel's the villain. We're not going to do that. Nobody's going to make an Instagram account for Mother Gothel saying that she's the victim of the story. She's clearly manipulating Rapunzel. So why can we do that for Magnifico? Did you fail at making a good villain? Does your villain actually reflect you as a company? And that's why you make him more palatable and relatable and you want his song to trend on TikTok? This return to true villainy and evilness is relatable. This return to evil doings and fighting back is supposed to get stuck in your head as you do the dishwasher. And I think it's because Disney should not have made Wish. Wish is a movie where a young girl steps up and faces authority, faces something that everyone else loves because they make their wishes come true. They make the impossible possible. This story about standing up to something that everyone loves and uncovering its dark secrets underneath is intentionally vague because it's about the company that made it. When I was younger, I wrote so many things. All of my short stories were feature length, and I wrote so many stories as a kid. Oh, trees hated me. I thought that I was a little environmentalist, but trees actually hated me. The amount of trees that had to be cut down so that I could write on them with my dad's fancy pens. Crazy. I loved writing. I thought I was good at writing. And then it's kind of like something, like a switch flipped in me when I got to high school. 7th grade, I get a bad mark in English, a class I thought I was supposed to be good at. So why did this happen? And obviously, I was way too dramatic about it, and I still am, obviously. High school went on, and the work that I produced was mid, to say the least. I wasn't proud of anything that I was putting out. I reached my first year of uni, and I get better. I get better at writing essays, and I feel good about some of my projects. But then there are the projects that I feel less great about, and I submit them, and I go to bed, not proud of what I've done. What I ended up making could have been better, and I know this. When I used to look at Disney, I would see all of these really great stories that were told. The different iterations of old classic fairy tales, the animation, the animated movies that kept me entertained for most of my childhood. Although I don't want to truly admit it, Disney's probably the reason that I'm doing a degree in film anyways, so there's something. When I used to look at Disney, I would see all of the great memories I had with flying on the Dumbo ride at Disneyland 9 hours a day, and my parents being so annoyed with me because that's all I wanted to do. I think of sitting in front of my TV, putting on the Lady and the Tramp 2 DVD and rewinding it so I could watch it 3 times a day. Stuff like that. But now, when I look at Disney, I still feel inspired, but not in the way that Disney would hope I would be inspired. I look at Disney now and I feel inspired to be less lazy, to follow through in my work, to actually finish my projects, and not only finish them, but put my heart and soul into them. So, I think I have Disney's wish to thank for making this video. If I post this, that's gonna be a great feat for me because I've written probably over a dozen potential YouTube scripts and I haven't done anything with them until today. On Wish's 1-year anniversary, where I'm suddenly inspired to actually do something, actually push myself to make and edit a video in one day. And I have Disney's wish to thank for that. So if no one else likes this movie, at least I can look back and I can think, I had a really good time with my friend. We made some inside jokes that'll probably stay with us until the day we die. And it forced me to not be lazy, to actually do something with my Friday afternoon. But hey, what do I know? This is the things I get. Thank you for watching. This is kind of crazy, actually, that I made it to the editing stage. If I make it to the posting stage, that is actually crazy. If anyone is watching this, that is crazy because it's been a year and you would think that videos about Wish would be overdone by now. But I think that I deserve to be sad about this movie the most. Yes. I think that I'm Wish's biggest fan, but I also hate it so much. When me and my friends talk about Wish, we kind of personify it as like our neglected child, which I know sounds really crazy, but that's just how we are, I guess. But yeah. We'll find out where this goes, okay? We will find out where this whole thing goes. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.